Welcome to Off the Rickshaw, the podcast where three South Asian millennials slow down, speak up, and sound off. We're not here to explain our culture, we're here to live it, we're here to question it, and laugh through it. From family drama to first-generation pressure, Bollywood dreams to WhatsApp conspiracy theories, this is where heritage meets hot takes. You can almost think about it like Joe Rogan meets your favorite cousin's living room. It's real talk with a little masala, deep convo, dumb jokes, and an occasional midlife breakthrough. If you want to get a better idea of why we're doing this and our intention behind this podcast, I highly recommend you listen to our first intro episode to learn a little bit more about myself, Samir, and Hussein. In today's episode, we're talking about travel. Not just tourist traps and beach pictures, but how we move through the world as South Asians, as individuals who love traveling. From airport profiling to visa anxiety to aunties packing parathas on a plane, and what it really means to go back home when your identity lives in two places, where we do belong and where we do feel free. So let's hop in, let's take a seat. This is Off the Rickshaw. Let's ride. Welcome to this episode. I am excited to be talking about this specific topic. I know that this topic was one that we all wanted to talk about because we've all lived through it, we've all done it, we all want to continue doing it, and so I think it would be a good idea for us to share those stories, what it's like, and maybe there's some hacks and tricks that we can share with those listening as well. Hussein, let's kick it off. You know, what's been one of your top memorable places to visit, and why?
Yeah, for me, well, I have three. Most recently was my trip to northern Pakistan. So it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life, if not the most beautiful. Just experiencing the cultures of the people of Hunza and Gilgit. And then also just knowing that most of Hunza was like Ismaili, and being an Ismaili myself was just amazing to just see everyone say Yalimud to you. And then seeing Haji Imam's picture up in every shop was just an amazing experience. I felt you truly got to feel God's creation when you were there. Truly felt it. You know how when you guys are in Banff in those parts, it's just filled with like tourists, and it's gotten very touristy now. You don't get that perception in northern Pakistan. It's still very raw. It's not been touched by too many by tourists or just people in general. So it's very very naturey. So I highly recommend going out to that part of the world if you guys can.
Let's get a little deeper into that.
Yeah.
Let's give the audience a little bit of context.
Of course.
Why
yeah.
did you go? When did you go? And what was kind of leading up to that trip?
Yeah, so I just went in April. The reason I went was, well, my parents kind of inspired me to go. So they've been there like 3 or 4 times. My parents absolutely love it. I think my mom is on the verge of retiring there, to be honest. They try and go every year, and I think they really wanted to show me and my wife and my sister. So we kind of just did it as like a family trip. Also, we have family in Karachi, so we haven't really seen, my family in a while. So it was nice to go down there and see my family. And it was also nice to see where my dad grew up and the school that he went to and whatnot. We never had that chance before when we were in Karachi to go and visit those places where he was. So it was just a really cool opportunity to go just reconnect with family, but also just see what has, inspired my parents so much. And I truly got that sense of why they love going there every single year. It's something that no picture or video can really do justice. You have to go there and experience it. It's one of those trips where you have to go there. I can't really explain it unless you're actually you're there. So yeah, that's the reason why I
and this wasn't one of your first trips to Pakistan.
No,
you've been there before
many times.
And sometimes as individuals who have spent a lot of time in this part of the world, and by this part I mean Canada and the US and North America generally.
Yeah.
We have this perception of like when you go home, there's lizards on the walls, there's mosquitoes everywhere, your feet if you touch the tarmac. How what was your perception going into it? How did you mentally prepare and kind of, did you fall in that loop of kind of feeling like, what am I doing? Should I be going?
Yeah, no, actually, it was mostly for me. It was mostly just excitement because I've been to Pakistan before, so I know what to expect. I think for my wife, she was kind of feeling that a lot more because she's never been to Pakistan, so she was really nervous about like, oh, what's the food going to be like? How am I going to fare? Is it going to be safe? Because you hear all these ridiculous stories that Pakistan's unsafe, and no, I think it was quite the opposite for her that she experienced, and it's quite the opposite. And every time I've gone there and have experienced Pakistan, it's just a wonderful place with amazing culture and people. And yeah, of course, there's bad parts, but of course that's like everywhere you go. So I think this is a very Western perspective that people have on that part of the world. But yeah, northern Pakistan was probably the most memorable and place that I've ever traveled to.
That's amazing. Take us through some of your top moments within northern Pakistan.
So for me, the drive from Skardu to Hunza was phenomenal. Like I've never seen a drive that serene before and scenic. You're literally driving right through the Himalayan peak and the ranges. You can see Nanga Parbat, you can see K2 on a very clear day. You're literally driving right through the heart of the mountains, and these mountains just seem to make like the ones in Alberta look like anthills. They look tiny as hell. So they're just gigantic mountains. And then it's funny because in Pakistan there's no like guardrails or whatever, so you're literally driving like right on the edge, and you're like putting all your trust in this driver, and you're like, bro, please do
And
not
this driver
flop.
that you've never met
And
before. It's
you've
like this
never
guy,
met this guy
complete
before.
stranger.
So on one side, it's funny because on one side you have the cliff, and then the other side you have these big ass rocks which like cause landslides. So and you can actually see like landslides that have just happened from the day before because there's these huge rocks that have damaged like the road and the infrastructure. And you know these guys are like just experts, like weaving through all this shit and just getting everywhere. But it was amazing. Like they're so good. You fully trust them, and you trust in what they do, and they make the experience for you because they take you on a tour and they talk about where you're driving through. So that was one of the most memorable places. And then I think seeing Hunza, like driving into the Hunza Valley and seeing that open up was phenomenal. They have like a ridiculous amount of Jamaat Khanas there because it's like 99% Ismaili. So just going to different Jamaat Khana every single day and then seeing how everybody has their own community and walking to their own community Jamaat Khana was amazing, especially under the stars and the mountains. Just beautiful. Like that was one of my favorite moments. And then the views from the plane was just incredible because you're just flying over mountains and you're flying through mountains. And when you're flying in from Islamabad into Skardu, the pilot has to do a little bit of like a bank through the mountains, and that's a little bit like nerve wracking because they kind of tilt the plane on an angle when they're trying to bank around the mountains to land. But it's a phenomenal experience. Like it's nothing like I've ever seen in my life, and I don't think I'll ever see anything like that again. So
I can almost
just
visualize and feel like sitting on that plane as the
oh
plane
man,
is like
I
with
it's
turbulence is like shaking. I'm just like, am I gonna land?
I can just imagine Haji being a troll and doing like this, like with his hand and seeing me out. But yeah, those are like the some of the coolest moments, and yeah, I can't like talk enough or say enough about just the beauty of that place. It's untouched.
Hussein, from all the trips you've been to, which place would you revisit?
Revisit. I
Yeah.
feel like New Zealand. I feel like New Zealand. I feel like I went to New Zealand with a specific purpose, and I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to in New Zealand. And so, if I could go back, I would definitely do New Zealand again because New Zealand was one of those trips where you can spend 2 weeks there, 3 weeks, and you still won't have enough time to see everything. Even though it's not that big a country, but they just have so much beauty in nature there that you in every part of that country that you need to spend a good few months there to really get the grasp of New Zealand. So I would definitely go back to New Zealand.
And I think we'll get into the trips that we're going to revisit multiple times. Samir, I want to know from your perspective, kind of what was that one trip for you that really defined, all right, this feels good.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a place for me to revisit, would be Tanzania. And I think this is kind of like the theme of us kind of going back and revisiting the places that our parents grew up in and where home is for our parents. And so Tanzania is where my parents grew up. I've been there twice. The first time I went, and it was much more of a casual type of trip. I had the chance of seeing where my father grew up, like his home, and where my mom went, and their Jamaat Khana where they went, and it was very much a see how they grew up, and I even got the chance to meet their family friends. That was a very good trip. But then the first time I didn't do a lot of the typical tourist stuff. I didn't go on a safari. I didn't. We did go to Zanzibar, but we didn't do it properly. So the second time I made sure to do the things you do in Tanzania. So that was a very great trip for me, and I do want to go back again because one of my bucket list is I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. If I'm still healthy, my knees are still good, I want to do that at some point. So I would definitely go back to Tanzania for my roots, and also I think there's a lot to do there.
Yeah, staying on that East African path, just to like share my most memorable place. For me, it was my trip to Africa too. Although like it was for a short period of time. I was there for, a global internship while my university time was saying, you probably know that time of me being in Uganda during my school. I went to Uganda for 4 months. Little did I know, and at that age, I was maybe like 18, 19. Little did I know that I had cousins. My mom's first cousins and my second cousins, I guess, were in Kenya. And I didn't know that I had cousins there. And so when I was planning for this trip, like leading up to it, my mom's like, you should go and connect with your aunt and go see if you can meet your cousins there. So this entire trip that I thought was going to be dedicated to school and research and academics became this larger purpose trip of meeting family that I didn't know existed in that part of the world for me, but also gave me a really deep historical check of where my roots and culture and faith come from. As many of the listeners may know or may not know, faith wise, there was a huge influx of Indians that went into this region, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and with that came development of new ways of life, new quality of life, cultural integrations between the Indian culture and the African culture, and really getting a chance to see their way of life. And I think that's what made that trip very special during that time. And the next kind of natural phase that I want to take this conversation in is, how has our perspective changed based off of the places that we've gone to? Being in the Western, I'm doing quotations if you can't see it, if you're listening to audio, but living in the Western world, we typically have this status quo way of life, which is highly driven by capitalism. It's driven by materialism. It's driven by, he said, she said kind of mentality. And Samir, maybe I'll start off with you, but like, how has this mentality been altered, redefined based off of the trips that you've done elsewhere outside of North America or even outside of Europe, I want to say, because I feel like maybe Europe has a similar mentality. I've never been. Well, I've been to Portugal. That's a lie. But like, I would like to think that Portugal, like culturally, is very diverse. Like it stands out to me different than other European countries. But maybe we'll backtrack a little bit. Samir, how has your perspective changed or differed based off the travel that you've done?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll refer back to, my story about Tanzania, but, that was my first major trip outside of North America. And, I kind of went into it thinking like, oh, my perspective will probably change. I was born and raised in Canada, so I've always lived in like, first world country. So going into it, I'm like, I knew I was going to see stuff that would open my eyes. You see the poverty, you see people living with not much means, but still are happy. I knew I was going to expect that. I think the one thing that I didn't expect is just the way of life. So in Tanzania and in East Africa, I think we lost your saying, but in East Africa, they have this saying called pole pole. And in English, that just means slow, slow. And I think that mindset, that way of life, it really changed my perspective on life. Because in the Western world, we're so used to getting things quickly. We have Amazon Prime. We want everything right now. We want that Uber.
It's that convenience and that instant gratification.
Yeah, exactly. And so going to Tanzania, you go to a restaurant and you might be waiting 20, 30 minutes for your meal, sometimes longer. And there's so many times where I'm just waiting. I'm like, is the food coming? But
And it's funny, Samir, sometimes like when I was in East Africa, I would look back, and so, if you haven't been, you'll go to a lot of outdoor restaurants, but they're not only outdoor, they're open concepts. So basically you can see the chefs or those cooking at the back on the grills flipping. So every time I would turn around, honestly, these guys working for the restaurant are like just like gossiping or talking to one another, and the meat is like almost burning, but like they're enjoying the process. And I think that's where the delay comes from. We think we need it as quick as possible, but they're also enjoying and making the food and trying to get it to you. So sorry,
yeah, exactly.
just that visual came in my head.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's something I'm trying to do in my personal life is just to slow down. There's this book that I want to read. It's called Slow Productivity. I think the Western world's very much into being productive. We're all trying to work, but that comes with a lot of burnout. I think there is some value in the mindset that people have in the third world countries where it's just enjoying and just living in the moment. So
There's a laid back culture, right?
exactly. And I think we need that in the Western world. And we're missing that. I think that a lot of society and companies are driving this means of you gotta be productive, you gotta make money. But is that what we need? Is that happiness? So and
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that might not be.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, I on Instagram, I came across this post where there was a timeline from 0 to 100, and it was categorized where the first range, which was 0 to, I want to say, 10 or 12, was life, was fun, was complete bliss. Because a lot of the time, when you're a child, when you're an infant, when you're a teenager, I would say even preteen, you don't really know what's going around you, and so you're just trying to make meaning of it. And so you'll kind of be a rebel. You'll fall and you'll get up, you'll cry, you'll get support. And then you hit into the age where you can officially legally start working, right? Which is like the 16s, the 15 to 16s. And that is the longest range, right? And then that goes till 63 legally. But there's a lot of people, a lot of men in the South Asian culture specifically, that feel the need to continuously working. Like, if they sit at home for a long period of time, you go into this mental health thing where you feel anxiety, depression, all these things. So you can always imagine there's individuals working past 63, right? And then once you hit after 63, then you're waiting. It's a waiting game, right? A lot of people don't have the leisure of, at that age, your health might not be well, and so you cannot travel and sit on a plane and feel all that. And so you're waiting. And that's the sad part, and that really hits you. And so the concept here, what I'm trying to say is, what traveling did for me, which I think I can hear similar to you, is open your eyes to this idea that we're living towards what the society's created for us, which helps society because it increases productivity and profit gains. But what does that do for you, right? Like, if you look at this timeline, what was your value? What was your purpose? And what was your drive? And so do
Exactly.
you think this would be a different conversation if you were to have it with someone in that part of the world?
For sure, for sure. And kind of to your point about we work and then we retire, even that kind of seems odd to me. I really don't know how people do it in third world countries. I feel like they would probably just continue to work until they physically can't. But I think for us, it's a really weird concept of just working hard and then retiring. I think what we need to do is just something called mini retirement. I think that's something that needs to be a more of a thing.
The shorter breaks that you take in order to go and expose yourself to something that you may not be familiar with and come back into reality and then be able to contribute.
Yeah, for sure. And I recommend this book if anyone hasn't read it, called The 4 Hour Work Week. And that's where this idea of mini retirements come into play. But I think a lot of people, they want to work hard, make a lot of money, and then retire and then travel the world, do what they enjoy. But like you said, at that point, you may not be able to. So why not enjoy life now? When you physically can, when it's easier to travel. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like for a huge portion of my life, I wasn't traveling. I was just trying to
Yeah.
work hard. But now I'm young, I'm healthy, I have the means. Let's travel the world.
I'd also want to, like, let's go a little deeper just because we're on it. Being South Asian, being an immigrant, having that immigrant mentality, seeing our parents come to this country for the first time, and if we're lucky, we would have seen their parents come into this country and lay the foundations, and they're the first generation, and then you'd be the second. But not everyone has that luxury because by then you've cracked some codes, and so you have a leeway to get ahead, right? And education-wise, capital-wise, you have some savings and so forth. And this is, of course, utopian style conversation. But there's the other side of the world in Canada where you have immigrants that come in as first generation who've only seen their parents struggle and don't know if they should travel. And what that means is sometimes there's that guilty complex where if my parents didn't do it, should I be doing it? Or like every time I travel, should I be taking them with me just because they haven't seen it? Let's talk about that a little bit because some of us are the oldest siblings, so we feel like we have that obligation to carry the family as well as ourselves. Some of us are first generation, meaning that we're the first from our families to be doing certain things. Like I'm the first from my family to be earning a degree. Samir, I think you're within this similar space as well. Hussein, you're the first to move out at a young age and settle your life and start from there. So what does that mean cuisine, when we think about it in relation to traveling, how have you gotten over that guilty complex at the back of your head? I've had it, and I'll talk about it when I was kind of making my decision to do my trip to Uganda. But how about you boys?
I'll just touch on that very quickly. I feel that my mom is very much a saver and
Yeah.
she doesn't like to travel at all. And so I think when I was growing up,
Samir, question to you, like, is that saver mentality us thinking that she just constantly wants to save, or she just doesn't know how to spend it?
I think it's a bit of both. Looking at my parents, there's this mindset of I gotta pass on my wealth to my kids. It's a very Indian kind of mindset. I will,
That's
you know,
the immigrant mentality that I'm talking
yeah,
about, right? Like I
yeah,
came to this country, I laid the foundation, I gotta save so my kids
Kids
don't
can
have to
prosper.
struggle that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like if we keep passing the buck, like okay, my kids will enjoy my
Mm.
hard work.
Yeah.
Then who is actually enjoying? If every generation keeps working hard to pass it on to the next generation, who is actually enjoying? And I
It's true.
think the mindset needs to be work hard. We're gonna have a family and build generational wealth. I think we also need to learn how to enjoy the means of our hard work as well.
Hussein, did you want to add anything there?
No, I think he covered it really, really well. I know for me, when I was growing up, my mom was struggling with work, and my parents were struggling with their business. They had a muffin shop, and they were struggling, and we didn't travel much as kids and teenage. Like our traveling really came like when we were past teenage years and now as adults.
When we
But
could
when we
spend our
were
own money.
exactly, yeah, when we were kids, I don't like maybe we did the odd trip to like Cuba or something, but we never did like really, really big trips just because we were trying to save up for a house and all that. And yeah, I felt guilty as well, like when I did have the money to go, but my parents had the same thing. It's like, oh no, go enjoy, go enjoy. We've lived our life. You go live yours. It's that kind of
Yeah.
mentality. But it's like, bro, you guys didn't even get to enjoy yourselves. But now I'm happy, Shukr Molat, that they're able to now enjoy and do all these trips now that they're approaching retirement age. So and thankfully in good health too. So I'm happy they're
Yeah.
getting it out of the way now.
No, yeah. I mean, these are the small complexities that we don't tend to think about. That, there are a lot of people that we know are making constant trips, right? And that's great. But there's a whole backlog story of guilt, of fear. Should I be doing this? That comes along with it. But when you do, I think it exposes you to a whole new world. Like, at the traveling that we've done and the memorable place that we shared, each one of us, has changed our perspective on when we come back, how we think about life.
Yeah, no, totally. I
Okay.
completely agree. And sorry, just one thing I forgot to mention is that like I think one impact that northern Pakistan's had on me as well is just health related, just seeing how healthy those people are and the food that they're eating and like
You
the
you
fact that
probably think opposite though, no?
yeah, I know you would think the opposite, but they're so
We
healthy.
we have the better medicines. We have the better.
Dude,
We have free healthcare.
I'm not even playing. I felt like I needed a chair when I was sitting in JK, and all these budimas and like old uncles are sitting on the floor, and my back was hurting, my knees were aching, like I had a headache in my hip and all that, and like they're literally just sitting on the floor and walking up hills and mountains to get to like they're just so
Yeah.
healthy, and I'm like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real.
Mubin, did you have like a destination or a place that kind of changed your perspective?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it was just visiting in 18. Visited Pakistan in 18. That was a solo trip. That was quite fun. Did Pakistan in Dubai. That was actually the first time I had ever gone back to visit my cousins from my mom's side there. And of course the trip to Uganda in my third year of university. Again, as I mentioned, I went into that trip thinking I was going to get a research paper out of it, but what I actually got out of it was like literally like so much more. Just understanding positioning. But what is your position? Where do you come from? What do you have versus what do you do? And you can't forget, like, in my opinion, East African food is probably top tier food. Like, of
100%.
the barbecue that you do. Also, although I don't know because of the barbecue how many carcinogens we're intaking, but to be honest, the food is insane. Insane. Like from the miskaki.
Let's talk a little bit more about food. We're all foodies.
Yeah.
Was Tanzania the best place that you've been to that had the best food? And
For
Hussein, I
me, it
want
was
your
Kenya.
perspective too.
For me, it was Kenya. When I
Kenya?
visited Kenya, Kenya had the best ribs. It had the best kebabs. It had the best. I don't know. For me, that was top tier.
Yeah, I think for me it's like a hybrid.
Yeah, what
Like
about you?
definitely a hybrid for me. Like I think for like nyama choma and barbecue, like East African barbecue is top notch. You can't beat East African barbecue. But I feel like for South Asian cuisine, like the Pakistani biryani, nihari, all of those dishes for me was also top tier. So I think depending on
Yeah.
what your flavor is, what you're looking for, you can find something in different parts of the world. What about you, Haji? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I love my barbecue.
Yeah.
Low key, I think a good second option for me would be the food that I had in Colombia. I love Mexican food. That's probably a top three cuisine for me. The food I
Really?
had
Wait,
in
what are your top three? Like what are they?
yeah, I would say, well, one would be Thai food,
Mhm.
second would be Mexican, and then my third can kind of change depending on what I'm feeling, but I
Okay.
think I often settle on like kind of like some sort of Middle Eastern food. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll throw in a little bit of like Greek food, so something along those lines. That would be my top three. What about you guys?
I honestly, now I'm just thinking back to it, my top, and we'll probably need a whole podcast on just food and food
Food,
around
oh,
the world,
For
100%.
sure.
and and rating different food from different places. But for me, I love Mediterranean food. Greek food is like I could eat it all day, any day. Portuguese food is insane. When we were in Portugal, the food and the cuisine there was absolutely ridiculous. Shout out to Ariana's in Portugal. Killer piri piri chicken. Really,
How are
really
the
good.
natas though?
Oh, Balam de Nata? Oh, insane. Insane. But you'd be interested to know there's a place in Toronto, and I gotta
Yeah.
search up the name, and I might search it up as I'm talking. But there's a Portuguese cafe that has natas, and their natas are just as close as the natas that I had in
Wow.
Portugal. And so maybe when one of you guys are talking, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, definitely need all the recommendations for natas. That's like a go-to dessert for me.
I've never had nata before. I don't even know what it is.
What?
So it's called Cafe Belem. It's on 546 College Street, North Toronto, Ontario, and it's owned by Portuguese. Insane natas. Natas are it's an egg pastry almost. And
Oh,
I
okay,
might,
okay.
if someone who is on this who's listening is Portuguese, I'm describing this recipe wrong, they're gonna shoot me. But essentially it's an egg custard pastry. It's very creamy. There's a crust. It's soft but crunchy. Oh my god.
It's just perfection. It's
Yeah,
perfection in a little tart.
But I mean, getting back into it, let's take a different a different approach to the travel conversation. How do you guys plan travel? What are you guys using? I know in this world of ChatGPT, you can ask ChatGPT, I'm going here for 7 days. What do I need to do and plan my entire 7 day trip for me? But pre ChatGPT, how are you guys navigating travel and how would you do it? Are you the type to just go to a place and figure it out? Or are you someone that needs structure from point A to point B? You need to know the kilometers and the time that it's gonna take you there. Samir, you're on the ladder. I know that one.
Yeah, definitely. For my trip coming up in July, I'm going to Dubai. I literally just put it into ChatGPT. I said, I'm going for 2 weeks. Give me an itinerary. It's made my life a lot easier. I'm usually the planner whenever I'm going on a trip with my
That's the new
friends.
age, right? Like this is the new age. Like that's how people are doing it.
For
Yeah.
sure. But I still know a lot of people who live spontaneously and kind of do it like take it day by day. I'm just such a big planner in my life in general. So, but before ChatGPT, I was often going onto like Reddit because I feel like if you Google top places to see or do in X country, you're gonna get a lot of the tourist traps. For
That's
me,
right.
Reddit was key into seeing what are the actual like hidden gems, what are the things that locals are doing, what are the things that local enjoy. So Reddit was often key for me for everything logistics. Google's key. Like I trust Google Flights the most. I know a lot of people use like
I also
uh,
didn't know when you're buying tickets on Google Flights, the best day to buy flights is Tuesdays and Thursdays.
yeah, and Saturdays,
And
I think
when's it?
Oh
as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
When's the best day to fly out? I think what is it like? Is it like Friday the worst or something, or is that like when's the best day to fly?
So Fridays and Sundays are the worst because
The
those are
worst.
the
Yeah.
days where people are typically flying. If you think about
Right.
it, everyone's trying to leave early, come back
Right.
as late as
Right.
possible. They're trying to save their vacation
True.
days. To me, I always fly out on Saturdays because Saturdays are
Mm.
it's such a hidden gem. No one's
Mm.
flying out on Saturdays. I've been
Interesting.
traveling on Saturdays every time for the past few years.
Wow.
When you go to the airport, there's no line for security, there's no lines for customs.
Wow.
It's way cheaper as well. So Saturdays are like my like biggest like travel tip. I only travel on Saturdays.
Those listening to Off the Rickshaw, you heard it here first.
Yo, do you guys?
And
Yo,
and obviously using incognito.
incognito. Yeah, that's key. Yo, do you guys have different?
Yeah, I don't do use
Do you guys have like a different luggage, like color, or like how do you guys differentiate your luggage?
yeah, I have a blue colored luggage and I'll throw in another recommendation as well. Travel Pro, highly recommended. So I coming back to the whole Reddit thing, I just Googled what's the best luggage because in Colombia, my luggage actually broke. There's a huge story behind that, but
We have all day. Kick it off. What's the story?
Oh, so so me and my friend, we had a layover in Cancun. We were like, okay, let's go see Cancun, let's go somewhere, let's go to the beach. We went, we rented a car. My friend actually forgot his backpack at the like the car rental place. His backpack had his passport in it, so he
No.
wouldn't be able to come back to the airport without that backpack. We rented the car. His backpack's still in the car rental place. We go to the beach for a little bit. We rush back because he's like, "Where's my passport?" And so we rush back to the car rental. He luckily gets his backpack back. Now we're now rushing back to the airport to make our connection flight. And I'm dragging my luggage. I don't know why it didn't just carry over, but I was carrying my luggage and my luggage broke. The wheels just literally fell off. Now I'm like really like carrying my
Yeah.
50-pound luggage because I overpacked my 50-pound luggage.
If you
back
don't,
to the
you
airport.
a lot of people. Wait, I pause right there. A lot of people don't know about Samir, but Samir is definitely an overpacker, and he will pack for 3 days. He'll pack a month's supply of clothing.
That's for sure. But yeah, so the wheels broke off, and then I'm like, I'm never letting this happen to me again. I went on Google, I went on Reddit, and I'm like, what's the best luggage? I found out that Travel Pro is something that like the flight crew actually use themselves.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like proven and trusted. So Travel Pro, highly recommend.
Travel.
That's solid.
Yeah, right.
No, I gotta, second the fact that Reddit has been a really good truth source of, what should you do, what shouldn't you do. Over the time that I've been traveling, and honestly, it's not extensive, but the limited traveling that I have done, something that I've started to also appreciate is the fact that I don't want to go to those tourist traps anymore. I want to go and understand the historical, cultural relevance of the becoming of the city. Like, how did this city come to be? How did this country come to be? How did this city in this country come to be? And a lot of that is just visiting a lot of, the landmarks, the old churches, the hole in the wall restaurants, talking to people and asking them, how long they've been there and what they've been doing. That, and that's something that I want to continue doing as I travel. It's trying to look to, just roaming the streets and just, naturally finding places and things that you wouldn't if you searched Google for that landmark and that tourist trap. So
Hussein, what about you? Are
Yeah.
you the type to kind of plan in advance, or are you spontaneous in roaming the streets and just doing what you feel like doing that day?
No, I have to plan. I have to plan. If I don't plan, I get stressed and then I can't enjoy my vacation. So I need to plan. I need to know what we're doing. I need to know the exact order of operations, the time, so I can kind of adjust. So yeah, I can't
it's
do
a
the
hard
spontaneous
type
thing.
A. Let's
Yo, I
go.
can I cannot do the spontaneous thing. Like I get really nervous about like just spontaneous things. So I'm
Yeah.
like I have to be organized.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So like we did that for a couple of trips and yeah, they worked out great. We took a different approach when we planned for Portugal. Like it was a balance between planning some days and having, certain time slots for the touristy things. And then there were certain days where just like, let's just go to Lisbon and walk the streets and see what we find. But honestly, in Portugal, this is all, a take. It's very hilly. And a lot of the roads are cobblestone, and so you need to wear good shoes because your feet are gonna hurt. And it's a lot of incline and decline. So, um, that's a tip for whoever's looking to go to Portugal. Pack good running shoes.
Okay, so we talked a lot about our favorite destinations and memorable trips and a lot of tips and whatnot. Let's get into some fun. Let's go to some rapid fire questions. You guys ready, boys?
Yeah, let's do
I'm
it.
ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Hussein, you ready?
I'm ready. I'm
All right,
ready.
let's do it. All right. There's 10 there's 10 questions. I want quick answers. First off, window or aisle?
Oh,
Window.
window. Have to do window. How about you? What are you doing?
I do aisle. It's a very underrated piece. Little leg
Okay.
room, and you
Okay.
can get up to go to the washroom.
Man
But
needs to
this
go to
is
the washroom quite a bit on trips.
Yo,
yeah, exactly.
I
But this is
can't
supposed to be
do.
rapid fire. Rapid fire. We can talk
Okay,
about
okay,
this
okay,
later.
okay.
Rapid fire. Okay. Plan ahead or wing it.
Wing
Plan
it.
ahead.
And you, what are you doing?
Solo. I'm going plan ahead.
Yeah.
Solo or group travel.
I've done
Group.
both. I don't want to. Oh my god, I love solo traveling, but with the boys it's a good
Rapid,
group. So
Naveen,
Group.
rapid.
group,
Group.
Group for me. Beach or mountains?
mountain.
Mountains.
Don't ever think
Mountains.
twice.
Airbnb or hotel?
Airbnb.
Hotel.
But it also depends if the hotel has all day breakfast. I could do some breakfast all the time.
Airbnb for me for sure. It's just the comfort. Feels like home away from home. Local food or familiar comfort food?
Local.
Local.
Have to do the local with the hole in the
Local for
walls.
sure.
Yeah.
Local.
Street food or fine dining?
Street food.
Ooh, it's tough.
Street food. Have to do the street food.
Fine dining.
After
I don't want
those
to. I
kebabs
don't
on
want
the street. Oof.
to mess my stomach up. Fine dining.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. Jose, wait, we got to talk about this. In Pakistan, you can't do street food, especially if you come from North America. Like, you don't know what is in that water.
It'll mess you up for a few days.
Few days, it'll
Bro,
knock you out completely.
You're done for the year.
Okay, sweet or savory on a plane? So you're thinking like cookies, or you're thinking like
Savory.
pretzels?
Savory.
Savory.
And maybe we'll get a sponsorship out of this, but I want to shout out Porter's pretzel cookies. The Porter pretzel cookies are insane.
I go sweet all the time. Biscoff cookies from American Airlines all day. So wake up early or sleep in on vacation?
Wake up early. The hell?
Wake up early. Wake up early.
Sleep
Yeah,
at
you guys are
home.
definitely the wake up early type. Can sleep when you're dead. Right. Okay, last question. Overpack or underpack? You don't even know my answer.
Underpack.
What do you
Underpack.
think?
Underpack.
You know
Underpack.
what? This
Under.
no,
Under.
this is a contextual question. Where are we going? Now, what's the trip here? What's the trip? But you know, if I were to do anything, I would try to underpack as much as possible.
Underpack.
You know,
Fair enough.
my goal in life would probably be to travel with just a backpack.
Yeah, that'd be tough for me. Like
Yeah,
to me,
it'd be
it's
very tough for you.
yeah. To me,
That
it's
would
like
be you using a carry-on.
yeah, exactly. Because to me, like I don't know what kind of situation I'm coming across. Like, do I need an umbrella? Do I need whatever? So to me, I'd rather be ready
Yo,
for any type of situation, which I know you can do with a backpack, but
real quick. That window or aisle question. Um, I had a funny story
Just
where
thinking about it. Look at this.
I was in the aisle one time and I used the washroom and I got stuck in the washroom. I didn't know how to open the door when I was little, so I've been traumatized since then. So I never use the washroom on the plane. Like it could be a 15-hour flight. I will not go to the washroom. I'll hold it until I
Damn.
get on the ground. I am like terrified of plane washrooms.
that's
It'll
right.
suck you in, bro. Out of the
Yeah.
plane. That's awesome. That's fantastic. You know, for all three of us, traveling has been very integral. You know, regardless of where we've been, we found some form of, value. We've learned more about ourselves, and this conversation has just been an epitome of that. And that's a wrap on this specific ride. Thanks so much for hopping off the rickshaw with us, where the conversations are as chaotic and comforting as a family WhatsApp group chat at 2 a.m. If you laughed, felt seen, or even enjoyed the vibe, show us some love. Follow, share, drop a review, comment, let us know your thoughts, and send this to one cousin who always needs to chill. If you got a topic you want us to unpack or a hot take to share, slide into our DMs or hit the link in the show notes. We're listening even if our parents aren't. Until next time, stay brown, stay loud, and stay a little unfiltered. Peace.